Right, hello, good morning. Sorry, but this is probably gonna be a bad video. In case you can't tell, I'm really hungover and it's like 6:30 in the morning. I feel like right now I want to die, and I'm sure yesterday's video was great, so it is I pale in comparison yet a fucking again. So it's Saturday morning, 6:30, and I've only just seen Kevin's video, I haven't seen anybody else's. Okay, honesty section out of the way. So, circles, how they've progressed. I'll just give you a brief overview of like my entire life. Probably not starting with kids, because you know when you're a kid, the circles that you have as friends are really just your mum and their mum, or your dad and them, or who, you know, parents are friends, and therefore you have to hang out together. So the first circle that I had, and pretty much everybody has I guess, unless you're homeschooled, is your school circle of friends. And so secondary school, which I guess is, it's 11 to 16, to make my life easy. They were probably the first group of like people who I would genuinely say I chose these people to be my friends. And it was a really good time in my life because of those people, because I'm sure, as you know, the whole high school popularity contest bullshit stuff is really annoying. But eventually what happened was everybody who thought they were popular, or thought that being popular was cool, okay, you're vapid and uninteresting, and then everybody else in the year was friends. And I thoroughly enjoyed having like 50 people who I would happily, you know, spend hours talking to. And okay, you know, you're kids, and that's fine. But I think that's really where I can genuinely say that I started to, you know, develop as a person, not just like in any particular way or anything, but just I started to understand what it's like to live in a thing where we all, you know, we're all people and all that random awful bullshit. Then I move up to sixth form, which is 16 to 18 or 16 to 19, depending on how you do it. And yeah, that was probably the best time of my life because of the people again. Because I had such a vibrant range of people. I mean, it was smaller, there was about 20 of us, but we were all just such good friends, and everyone had their passions. Like, within the group you had these everybody had a thing that they were really into, and it's just one of those times where your circle, you know, you're just surrounded by such passionate and creative and interesting people that you kind of build and feed off each other, and it was so good. I mean, I think that's one of the key things about being in any kind of circle is like, you know, you're like, oh, that was cool, let's talk about it for ages, now let's make a thing, now let's do this, now let's do, and it snowballs. When you're in a good circle, it snowballs. And sixth form is probably one of the key times in my life where it's snowballed and it's made me who I am today, probably. Those 2 years were very influential on my life. So if you want to blame somebody for me being such a bastard all the time, I can give you some addresses. And then, like, university and the world of work happened. And probably the most influential circle on my life then was the techies. The eventees and the techies. Those bastards, quite frankly. Because you have to eat, sleep and breathe the profession. Like, it's one of those things where you can't get away from it. Because first off, you know, you start work at 4 in the afternoon and you finish at 7 in the morning. Like, that's not a normal sleep pattern for a start. So, you know, the guy who you just spent 16 hours loading trucks with is gonna be the guy you go and get breakfast with, or the guy that you hang out with the next day, purely because of the sleep cycle. And then, because there are such a wide, interesting array of event tech going on and everyone has a different specialty, there's always something to talk about. That group is what's taught me what it's like pretty much to do everything I can do now, and how important it is to enjoy your work, be passionate about it. It was a really good circle again to be in, because it's people who are passionate, and I don't really care what the people are passionate about, but if they're passionate, it's fucking amazing. I am so hungover. And then obviously there's the YouTube circle, which I don't want to talk about because I hate you all, especially you. And now I'm starting to reduce my circle, because I think it's very true that at university you tend to make a lot of friends, but they're not really friends. You're at that time in your life where, you know, all young people talk to each other and all that bullshit, but it's never about it's so... Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and offend pretty much everybody in my life, and every student ever, and sorry, but this hat's really itchy, but my hair's really gross and I can't be bothered to shower. And why did I share that information with you? So people my age tend to be so vapid and uninteresting, or really passionate and crazy about something. I don't think there's any middle ground, but I would have to admit, unfortunately, that the majority of people that you tend to associate with at university tend to be the vapid, uninteresting shit people who, you know, think that going out a couple of nights a week is about as crazy as their life can get, and talk about the shit on TV all the time. To be honest, I think I've reached that point in my life where, Kevin, DK, any input on it? Where, you know, you go, well, fuck these people, it's not... I mean, you can either have like 300 friends, or like 6 friends. I would actually, I suppose if I'm going to get controversial or say anything at all, I would actually kind of like to disagree with something Kevin said, where he brought up that, like, each group is like a different mask, and I don't know if he's going to expand on this next week, or indeed at any point during the week, because I haven't seen any of the videos yet. But I find that as a weird concept, because as far as I'm concerned, although at the moment in my life, like, I've got the techie circle, then my new work friends, and then my friends from back home, and then, you know, like my family, and then like my YouTube friends, I wouldn't say at any point I'm any different with any of them. I would argue that there isn't a case of, like, a mask being lifted up to hide the face. I would be like, every circle leaves like a scar, or it's a scar. No, that would imply that they hurt me. Like an imprint, or a... It's more that they are different bits of my face, and at any one time they can change, like, importance, but I wouldn't say that at any point I'm putting on a mask for a set of people. Because I'm a miserable fucker whoever I'm around. And then you said, like, when you open up the circle again and it's like, I haven't seen any of these people in a year and you don't really know what to do. Well, I would argue that the true friends in my life, it doesn't matter if I'm going to see them tomorrow or in a year's time, that the conversation that we have will still be the same, if slightly longer, because I've been gone for a year. I mean, I have friends that live in Herefordshire, which is like only 200 and something miles away from me, but it's very expensive to get down there, and I have no reason to because it's a shithole. But I'll be like, alright, and they'll be like, alright, and then it's done. There's the circle. I don't think this video has been about anything, as again, I'm proving myself as the best, shittest person on the collab, I think was the direct quote. But I'm really hungover and I'm doing this in a rush, and I'm sorry, and I promise that next week's video will not be any better. While I'm on the subject of just general Vlogalogue related business, I would like to inform you, or remind you, depending on whether or not that we know that you guys make videos and comment regularly. We have replacements running until next week, and we still need people to volunteer. In case you were wondering how you get onto Vlogalogue, you tweet at us and be like, hey. And I'll be like, hey, such and such from the comments. See you next Tuesday. Only, that wasn't me saying goodbye, that was what see you next Wednesday.